Hello everyone, welcome to week 2 for the month of April. This week I'm going to be talking about kind of similar to last week's video. Last week I talked about being aware of state laws and regulations. This week I'm going to cover some things that you might want to make sure that you are in the know about. So be ready is what I'm calling this video. I always like to plan for the worst but hope for the best. So I like to be prepared for as much as possible. There's been a lot of talk lately of some different states who are starting to do kind of a government kind of handout thing with homeschoolers. So instead of paying your school taxes, if you're homeschooling, you get kind of like a credit, like a homeschool credit, because your kids aren't going to the school where you're paying taxes. It just makes me really nervous because you always have some kind of trade-off, and a government handout is always going to come with some kind of cost. So yes, the credit sounds amazing for spending on things that you're going to use in your homeschool, like maybe curriculum or supplies or memberships to do different field trip experiences. I know in Oklahoma there is a program that you can sign up for. It's called EPIC, and you get, I think it's $1,000 a year that you can put towards school-related things, and there's even different activities that you can do, like hands-on activities that are reimbursable through this program. But with this program, you have a teacher who is requiring your child to complete certain assignments. There might be a weekly or monthly or bi-weekly Zoom call that they have to get on with other kids. There's online things that they have to complete. So it's more of a hybrid program than a homeschool program. I think it's important that you know the difference. So with true homeschool model, you are just making all the decisions. You are the one who is calling all the shots. You're deciding what is covered, you're deciding when it's covered, you're deciding how it's covered. And then when you start to use different programs with other people in charge, they're taking that ability for deciding away from you. We tried it for a few months, and my daughter didn't really care for the online program that they used. She loves ABC Mouse, so their program didn't, it paled in comparison to ABC Mouse, so she was not impressed with that. And I wasn't real pleased with the teacher and just how things were communicated. But it all depends on the teacher that you have and your child's learning and just your schedule and financially kind of where you're at. So I understand why people do it. It's just not for us. But just remember, there's always some kind of trade-off. So yes, having a credit from the government if you homeschool sounds amazing, but what's the cost? What are you going to have to do to get that money? Are they going to visit your house and consider it like a progress check? Are they going to force you to do state testing if you didn't do it before? Are they going to have your child have to complete certain like checkpoints to make sure that you are doing what they think is appropriate for their age or their grade level? I've read lots of stories online of different parents who these states have implemented a similar program where it's you're basically getting credit for your taxes that you're sending to pay for the schools. And the parents would say that at the beginning it was wonderful, they got the money right away, but then as the years progressed or even months progressed, it got more challenging to get the funds, and they had to jump through more and more hoops to get the funds, and they were only getting a portion of what they were promised. The expectations of what they were able to complete were unrealistic, and the list went on and on. So just remember, there is a trade-off, and make sure you know what you want, and make sure that you make your voice heard. Vote when you're voting. Not only should you be considering all the other important decisions and things, and I'm drawing a blank. The different candidates, where their views are with everything is important, but especially if you're homeschooling, you want to know where people stand with homeschooling. The one of the biggest things about homeschooling is the freedom. So if you lose your freedom with deciding what to do and how to do it and when to do it, you're losing a big portion of what appeals to so many people for homeschooling. So participate with different homeschool groups. Our state, Oklahoma, has a foundation called Health and Parental Rights Foundation, and you can join that and be a member. They're always sending like emails and notifying people of different opportunities to make your voice heard. They organize different protests, or I don't think they call them protests, outreach programs where they're just educating people and taking a stand for what they believe homeschooling families and making health decisions for your children. You should have that ability as the parent because the child is a minor in your care. There's also another organization that I found online. It's called Homeschool Legal Defense Association, or it's abbreviated HSLDA, Homeschool Legal Defense Association, and they are the nation's largest, most trusted homeschool advocacy organization. And their website says, "We're here to advance and protect your freedom to homeschool." They have legal protection, they give educational support, and then you have a whole community that you join. So just like when I was a teacher, I was part of the teachers union because of just the risk that you have as a teacher, especially now in the times that we live in. People are very quick to make assumptions and sue. So legal representation can become very costly. And if you are accused of something as a teacher, oftentimes the media will smear your name even before they have all the facts. So basically your career's over, so you're not going to be able to afford the lawyer anyway. So just having that knowledge that you have a support system there for you if you ever needed it. I taught for over 10 years and I never needed it, but it was just peace of mind knowing that I had it. And this is kind of the same thing for homeschooling families. They have lawyers, attorneys that you can call at any time. I've heard of different families being reported to CPS because they're homeschooling. Not really sure what the grounds therefore is, but there are certain policies and procedures in place that maybe certain officials don't want you to know about. Like you don't have to let someone in your home if they ask nicely, and if they have a police officer with them, they don't have to come in your home. You can refuse them. Oftentimes when they're coming in, they're looking for something to kind of cast like a negative air about your home, or they're looking for something specific and you don't know how they can twist things that they see or hear. It's just a bad situation. So this HSLDA has attorneys that can advise you. If someone's knocking on your door wanting to come in, you can call them right then, and you can hand the phone to this official and they can talk to them. So just kind of having that peace of mind, I think is a good thing to have. We are living in pretty crazy times, so I am not surprised at all by the stories I read, unfortunately, but this is just something that you kind of have in the background and hope that you never have to actually use the attorney portion. It's just there if you need it. And then I found a Bible verse that just kind of spoke to this whole video. It says, "For God hath not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of sound mind." And that's from 2 Timothy 1:7. So be ready, but don't be fearful. Just be prepared and know what you want, know what your rights are as a homeschooling parent. If you missed my first video, go back and watch that so you can grab the link with all the different information on the states and their homeschooling laws and regulations, and just be ready for whatever it is that's to come. It's always better to be prepared and not need it than the other way around.